I am new to sword and buckler fencing, and as a newbie I wanted first to find some basics, the fundamental mechanisms of how to handle these weapons. I was looking for them in the 133 manuscript, and because very little is explicitly said there about these fundamentals, I started to try to extract them from the images and from generally the text, from the things that are stated there implicitly, not explicitly. And during this process, I believe I have found an interpretation of the core terminology and ideas of 133 that is better than what I was able to find today on YouTube. So this video and maybe some more later will be just about this, about my interpretation of what are the core principles and core terms used in 133. I am not sure if this interpretation is absolutely correct, but these are my ideas and I am putting them on the table maybe for other fencers to pick them up and build something upon them. So today we will look at the most basic things, which are the Custodiae, the wards, and the Obsessiones, the sieges. So let's start with the Custodiae, the wards. These are the only basics that we are given by 133. They are drawn in the first 2 pages of the manuscript, and they are not described, only portrayed in images. These are 7 positions, and well, nothing more is said about them. I believe that all these Custodiae are guards in the same meaning of the word that Federico Malaguti uses. Guard being a position that you take by your decision whenever you want to wait during the combat. You wait for usually opponent's attack, or for a good opportunity for you to attack, or maybe you can wait until you catch your breath or until you devise a plan how to win. Whenever you need to wait during combat, you take a guard. This is what a guard is. And I believe that all 7 Custodiae are guards in this meaning of the word, while 3 of them may also be something different, but also as another layer upon being a guard. So, why do I think that these are guards? Because this is how they are used throughout whole the manuscript. Every play of the manuscript starts with both fencers, well, one fencer being in a guard, in a custodia, and the second one starting to do some offensive action. So, probably at the very beginning both were in a custodia, and one of them decided to attack, so at this point he already attacks, and the first one is still in a custodia and started to react from a custodia. Then some exchange of binds and blows and whatever happens, and during this exchange they never return to a custodia, and custodia is used only in when this play ends and the new one starts. So the custodia cannot be something like ending positions of cuts as is in other medieval manuscripts. And in the manuscript itself they are used really like a guard, like a waiting position. Waiting position that is designed to easily react to whatever your opponent can throw at you while you are waiting. Now let's look at these Custodiae. I will skip the first one, Prima Custodia, which is a bit obscure and hard to understand. And I will switch to second one, Secunda Custodia, which looks like this. If I look at Secunda Custodia just by what the image looks like, I can see two important features of this position. First feature lies in the left hand, which has the shield extended as far forward as possible. This was, I think, explained in every interpretation of 133 that exists out there. Generally, the farther the shield is from you, the wider angle it passively covers. So if I'm putting shield in front, so much in front, I am passively covering the most angles possible, and I'm making it harder for my opponent to find an angle that can hit me. And for me it is easier if he finds this angle. For me it is easier to cover this angle by just a small move of hand. So this position of the shield is extremely passively defensive. And the other feature of the guard, of the Custodia, lies in the right hand, which is prepared for something. What something? Well, I would argue that the right hand is prepared for this simple descending cut. Why do I think so? Well, because this position screams of this kind of cut. This kind of cut is the most basic thing you can do with a sword. And especially from this position, it is the most natural thing to do from this position. It is not the only thing to do. From a position like this, you can cut a descending cut. You can also cut, say, a rising cut. You can cut from the other side. You can even thrust. So there are more possibilities, but only one of them is the most prominent and the most natural by far, and that is this descending cut. So just by looking at Secunda Custodia, I can say that a system that contains position like this has to also contain a cut like this, because without it the position would not make sense. Say if 133 is a system without any cuts at all, it is a thrust only, then why would you take a position like this? You can thrust from it, but it is slow and it is not natural. If you want only to thrust, you would take a position like this, which is much faster for thrusting, or maybe like this, but not like this. This position is ready for cut, but not for thrust. Thrusting is possible, but not easy and not fast. So I would say that because 133 includes position like this, it also needs to include a cut like this, at least this type of cut. Problem is that if you look in the text of 133, you won't find any mention of descending cut of this kind. There is no statement that would say something like, and now the priest is going to attack a scholar's head by a descending cut and the scholar has to react by whatever. It is not there, never mentioned. So by looking at the position, we know that this cut must be there. But the manuscript does not talk about it. So how to put it together? Well, I believe that in fact the manuscript talks about this type of cut. Talks about it quite often, and it talks about it from the very beginning, from the very first play. But it is using a terminology that we don't understand. We can translate the word from Latin to English, but we don't know the meaning of the terms because the terminology is not explained in the manuscript. And I think that they are using words explaining just this type of cut. But they are using words that we don't understand. And here we are getting to the term obsessio. Obsessio translates to a siege, and it is used from the very first play in 133. Generally, all obsessiones are positions that are different from Custodiae, and in 133 there is no overview of all obsessiones. In fact, many of them are portrayed in the manuscript without any name. Only few of them are named. And the very first obsessio that we are introduced to in the very first image of the very first play is, is an obsessio called halbschild, which looks like this. Halbschild. Well, when I for the first time tried to cut a simple descending cut from Secunda Custodia, like this, I was surprised that I have ended in a position that looks quite similar to halbschild. It is not exactly halbschild. Halbschild is drawn like this, and my ending position is this. But it looks similar. And this led me to an idea. What if all obsessiones in 133 are in fact not positions, but they are simple cuts or thrusts? Sometimes maybe something different. In the later parts of the manuscript, there are some strange usages of Custodia used as obsessiones, so there it is much more complicated. But for the most of the time, I believe all obsessiones are cuts or thrusts, basic cuts or thrusts aimed at the opening of the opponent. I believe that if the author of 133 had the opportunity to shoot videos instead of drawing images, his first image would be a video that is showing an action like this. So, priest and scholar are standing in their Custodiae. Priest is in the Prima Custodia, the scholar is in the Secunda Custodia. And the scholar decides to cut a simple descending cut aimed at priest's maybe head, maybe his elbow, because these are the parts of body that are not covered by the shield in a Prima Custodia. And this is what the first image is showing us. A simple cut aimed at priest's elbow or head. But because it is an image and not a video, it cannot portray movement. So they decided to portray just one still frame from the video. And it is the still frame that when the cut is already half on the way and the priest had not yet started to react. This is the point when a priest will have to start to react, because if he doesn't react, he will get hit. And that makes sense because the text of the first image, of the first play, describes how priest will react. So it makes sense that it is showing to us starting position that is the basis of what they are describing. So if we look at the very first image, I believe that the part of priest is in fact static because he was waiting, and at this point he's still waiting in Prima Custodia. But the part of scholar is dynamic because it is a cut that is already on the way. If you look at all obsessiones in the manuscript, you will see that most of them look like a cut that is already half on the way. Most of them. Some of them are a bit special, but most of them really look like a cut half on the way. And this is because I believe it really is a cut half of the way, on the way. Now, the usual interpretations of what the obsessiones are is that they are just static positions that are used to take space. The idea is that you are standing in a custodia, you want to attack, so you step closer and take an obsessio, look, and if everything is okay, you do one more step and attack. Something like that. And I don't believe this is how fencing works. It is not natural to do things like that. Maybe it could be some super sophisticated system of fighting that uses these sophisticated methods to win, and this may be possible, but then you would expect that half of the manuscript will describe how to use these sophisticated methods against a common way of using a sword. The more that the manuscript refers to common fencers quite often. So we would expect to see the manuscript to portray many of common simple ways to attack, and the way how the priest from 133 teaches us to deal with them. But it is not there. We are taught how to react to these strange obsessiones. So it would mean that also the other fencers will use these obsessiones, which are kind of sophisticated way of taking space. So I don't think these interpretations are correct. And what I am proposing is that the obsessio is in fact a simple cut. What am I doing is that I am compressing the ideas of the previous interpretations in time. So instead of taking half shield and then attacking step later, I propose that obsessio is in fact this one tempo action aimed at the opening. That said, I believe that if previous interpretations made some observations about what is possible to do from a position or against a position, some observations about the geometry of the sword and shield, these things would be still valid in my interpretation, because my interpretation is going through the same positions. So the geometry is still the same. The difference is that the timing is different. One tempo instead of two tempos. So I believe I am not breaking previous interpretations by this. I am just compressing them in time. Well, now, why are the obsessiones called obsessiones if they are in fact attacks? An obsessio means a siege, and the logic of the siege is not to attack. If you are besieging a castle, you are not rushing through the gates and to the throne room and killing the local lord. No, that's the attack. What siege does is that it prepares positions for the real attack. The siege itself is not an attack, but it lays ground, prepares ground for later attacks that may break to the throne room. So, if I am claiming that the obsessio in 133 means a simple attack trying to cut for an opening, why is it called an obsessio, a siege, if it has nothing common with sieges? Well, I believe it has. And the explanation lies in the core tactics, attacking tactics that we are taught by 133. I believe that the priest from 133 is teaching us to attack with second intention attacks. What are second intention attacks? Well, this is a modern term used in HEMA and probably in other martial sports. First intention attack is an attack that is exactly what it looks like. I see that the head of my opponent is not covered, so I am trying to hit it. That's all. If he parries the hit, then I have failed. That's the first intention attack. Exactly, I see an opening and I go for it. Second intention attack is in fact a series of attacks. Maybe it would be better to say second intention assault. First attack is, it looks the same. I see an opening, I'm going for an opening. But I'm not expecting this first attack to land. But I am attacking all the same, even though I know or I expect that it will not land. I am doing it because I want to bring the defenses of opponent to the position I can expect. And when I hit, I then turn the sword and attack him by a second attack that is designed to go around his defense. So first I'm forcing his parry, and when the parry is in the position, I'm then circumventing it with the second attack. And from the very beginning, I'm already thinking of the second attack. The first one is already there to prepare a position for the second one. So this is second intention attack, and this, I believe, is what the priest from 133 tries to teach us, to go for second intention attacks. It was proven by many competitions, usually from longswords, that first intention attacks can be landed, but it is not easy to land them. You can rely during a competition on first intention attacks in some situations, and it may be a good strategy with longswords. But usually you expect your first attack to get parried. I believe that if you give your opponent a shield, which is very protective thing, even if it is this small, the chance of landing the first intention attack is much lower. You can expect your first intention attack to at least be parried by the shield. And this is why I believe the priest teaches us to not go for the first intention attacks, but go for second intention attacks, which are more useful against shields. Why do I think that second intention attacks is what the priest proposes to us? Because this is how I interpret several, I think 4 or 5 plays from 133 that are showing the opponent, the besieged opponent, who lays low. He omits his defenses, omits his bind. These are the words that they are using. There are 4 or 5 plays that are showing exactly this. One of the fencers is doing a siege, say half shield, and the other one lays low, omits his defenses. I believe this is not talking about the situation when the opponent does not react at all to what we are doing. Because if we are cutting at him and he does not react, then he will get cut. I believe this is talking about the situation when the opponent parries our attack, but does nothing more. It is just a simple static parry, usually with a shield, naturally with a shield. If you have shield, most parries will be done by the shield. This is the most natural thing to do. When he omits his defenses, lays low, it means that he just puts the shield in the way, and that's all. He does nothing more, nothing better. And what we are taught by this place is that when this happens, we should then turn our attack to a thrust that will hit the opponent. This, I believe, is describing the final part of second intention attack. First attack is half shield that forces opponent to statically parry, and our follow-up attack is then thrust aimed at the opponent and hitting him. You can see that this transition from obsessio to a thrust always includes some kind of switching from bottom to up, from left to right, always some kind of turn of the sword, which is, I believe, because we are trying to circumvent the shield that was drawn in the position by the first part of second intention attack. These plays, I believe, are the description of second intention attacks that are always ended with a thrust, because that is what our priest loves. This would also explain why at the very beginning of the manuscript they say that the Langocht position, Septima Custodia, is the ultimate position and everything ends there, because your second intention attack that always finishes with a thrust will always end in Langocht-like position. And this is also why I believe that the first simple attack aimed at an opening of an opponent is called an obsessio, even though it is an attack. I believe that the word obsessio is a term that describes the first attack of second intention assault. The first attack is called an obsessio because its reason is to bring opponent's shield at the exact position. And the second, the final part of second intention attack is called plaga, the strike, I don't know how it is translated, blow maybe, plaga, which is the final part of second intention attack that will probably, hopefully, hit our opponent. So, obsessio and plaga, I believe, are the terms describing second intention attacks. Well, I believe that could be it for now. I will probably add some more videos about some more ideas about 133. So that's it.